modern society. I welcome the Prime Minister.
Okay, I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Judges, we are questioning the opposition choice to not regretting the glorification of the narrative, the never give up, in modern society, because does not mean we as a human should never give up, even though we are on the edge of depressed, pressured, or burdened. Now that's why, judges, we as the government team regretting this glorification of the never give up narrative, especially in modern society. But first, before I jump into my argument, I will define our motion today. Now the glorification means that they think that this narrative is really great, and if someone or people not following this narrative, not using this narrative in their daily life, they will view that as a bad thing. They will hating them for that, and this the never give up narrative should be followed by all. Now the never give up itself is a narrative, means whatever happens, people should never give up, even though they are on the edge of everything. They should never give up. They should always rise, not even once to give up. And now the modern society, we all know that modern society have a really wide reach, because nowadays we have social media, and by social media, which have a wide reach of audience, people can become judgmental and assumptive. This is the characterization of the society in modern era now. They are judgmental and assumptive. So they can assume that someone that giving up is lazy or not work hard enough, because there is a glorification of never give up narrative in their society. And now we here do not want this glorification to continue, and we want this narrative, the never give up narrative, just continue as a motivation, not to glorify, but as just a motivation, and and giving up itself will view as not a shame thing. And now I will jump into my first argument. In our status quo, or our current situation, never give up is still glorified. So whoever wants to give up, especially we know that nowadays we have social media, so people sometimes trend there that they want, I think I want to give up, and people will just hate them for that. They assuming they're not working hard enough. They think that people who rant about that is pessimistic, but not. In the reality, those people need support. They need support to continue their fighting, their work. And if these people who rant about wanting to giving up is getting hate, because never give up is glorified, they should never give up, people think they should never give up, it will just adding more reason to give up. They will be burdened, they will be pressured, and hating can lead to a depression state of them who run. They're not allowed to give up in our current situations. And that will happen. Why? Because people right now is very judgmental. And now I will explain why give up doesn't mean we think that give up doesn't mean the all of everything. There's so much thing people are lacking off that they can see by giving up. But after giving up, you can always try again. You should sometimes you just should to give up to see what things you're lacking up, and then rise again. It's okay to give up sometimes. And if people have pressure to not give up, they will scared of what might happen to themselves if giving up. They scared about people's view of them, but they not even caring anymore about what things they are fighting for, what things they don't want to give up. But they just think about I shouldn't give up because people will hate me for that. People will think I'm lazy or not working enough. And now, second, I will explain why if this glorification of the never give up narration is doesn't exist, but just a motivation. First, people will get encouraged. They of course they will still try hard for them, but they will not scared to give up. Sometimes they will not scared to just stop and see what things they are lacking of, and then rising again. And then they won't get burdened. they will get supported. Why? The likelihood of them get supported is because there is no glorification anymore. People will view this narrative as only just a motivation. They will view give up is just a human thing. It's okay to give up. People will think like that, and then if someone wants to give up, they won't hate them. They will just support them like, you shouldn't give it's okay sometimes to give up. I will help you, I will support you. That's why without this glorification, people not scared to give up. They don't have anyone judging them. They will have a courage to always rise up again, to always improve themselves without scared to fail or giving up. And now also, with no glorifying of this the never give up narrative, older people in modern society that usually you can find in social media, which is a wide range of audience, they without the glorifying, we can open their eyes. They can open their eyes on who needs to support that, who needs to support it, why we should support them, and that will create a healthy environment. It will create a healthy society where people is not judging each other for just giving up, which is a human nature, which is I'm sorry, not human nature, but a human things. And it will prevent people from depressing burden or etc. That's why, judges, I once again regretting the glorification of the never give up narration in modern society, because I want people to not be burdened to always fight just because they don't want people to see them as lazy or not working hard enough, or just not want to fight anymore. That's it, judges. I think. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. So, on the opposition case, I will come with the opposition.
I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. First of all, I will have a few responses to the government team about their arguments about how never give up, glorification of never give up narrative would lead to people judging them for giving up. That is such a worst case scenario. Not all people react like that. Not all people will judge them and hate them eventually for not working hard enough. Especially in this modern society where people have a lot of different characteristic and such. Even in their argument, they said that people will not be judging. So they're contradicting of this how people will judge if they give up on something. Even if they said that if it would be normalized, and if they give up, people will say like, it's okay to give up. But in the first characteristic of the world is people will be judging them for giving up. So I feel like that is contradicting in their side. So in my side, in the opposition side, I will explain how this glorification of the never give up narrative will be actually needed in a modern society. So in this, let's see how modern society actually looks like. Okay, modern society is where a lot of technology is going moving on forward, and like examples, we have like high technologies like AI and social medias, and people are in the society in it required to have some sort of device to follow the modern society, like the phone and social media and such. And a modern society is where all people is able to be connected from all over the world, where people will be like communicating even though they're at different continents of the world. That's how modern society works. The modern society works in a more wider range and fast-paced range of moving into modern technology and advanced technology. Now there is a trend in this modern society right now because, like I said, every generation is changing, and especially in the status quo right now in the modern society is there's a trend of a thing called gentle parenting, where people is like the examples, like social media is trending like, oh, gentle parenting is much more better than the society before. Like example, society before is like, oh, it's okay to it's okay to be a little harsh for your children. Like I'm not saying this for my own behalf, but like the example is back in the days, hitting is normalized in the society, but modern society changed it into a more gentle parenting. Now those two characteristics of how the people in the society and how the modern society is going is contradicting within each other. A gentle mental of people in society and a fast moving modern society, while people need to catch up into this modern way of society going. So that's why we need the glorification of never give up narrative. What we mean by glorifying the never give up narrative is like it will be seen in the society as a high hope of society that there's always a chance to try again. Then they need to try again after they failed or after something bad happened. They could there's always a chance to try again and never give up. And there is such a glorified in the society because people see it as a high hope in this society. Now and in our side, like I said, social media and going on, modern society, which also means that there is a lot of competitive in the area, which because people are all now connected to each other. Simple examples of this social media is like social media is where all people are gathering together, and because social media is a trend in the modern society, there's these needs of like who has the most like, who is more famous, because now people known to each other. If the world, we regret this glorification of never give up. If we kept this not glorification of never give up in this modern keep moving society with a contradicting characteristic of people in society, they would say that it's okay to give up, even though they need to have a certain push to be standing on this modern society. Like I said, this modern society is harsh. People keep moving forward with the high of technology, but they are not glorifying this never give up society. So there's like a loose of balance check between it, where people would just it's okay to just fall down in this society. But with this glorification, the society would realize, I need to try again. I need to never give up. That's how society will grow in this modern now. The characteristic of people will grow in this now modern society. Now, coming to my first argument, how it's much needed to be in how this glorification of never give up will be much needed in society. Modern society, technology keep on growing. It's easy access everywhere around the world, and we have social media, which increase our intensity of being competitive in terms of a lot of things, such as competitive in being a workplace, like competitive in being social media, competitive and being competitive in being students, etc., and even competitive in other sides of society. With that characteristic of a competitive of modern society, which we at least have a very least of to push this society to have a narrative of them to be able to stand in this modern society, and will be able to have a hope of trying again and never give up, even if, like I say, competitive society there's a chance of people it's a natural thing for a human to wanted to win in a competitive society. Normal thing for a human wanted to win over something, like, I want to win this competition. There's a thing, but there's also a thing that the chances that they will lose eventually, and with that will they just like people will just like, it will be without this glorification of never give up, they will just there's a chance of them just accepting without the push of glorification of they should never give up, and they will be accepting that they're which is bad when they were standing in this modern society. So at the very least, we have this narrative will have them a hope of trying again in a harsh, competitive modern society, and the actor actually, the society have a chance to actually survive in the modern world where everything is competitive. Which is even so, people nowadays, when they try to raise their mentality of the people, they will say never give up. That's how glorification will be seen in our case. Thank you.
Continue government case the Deputy Prime Minister.
Okay, I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. I am, good afternoon, honorable adjudicators. I am here as the Deputy of the Prime Minister, and I would like to first refute my opponent's argument and then continue with my team's argument. And first, I would like to refute that glorified mean that something glorified means that it is socially pushed or normalized. We understand that everyone has different characteristics in society, but with these narratives to be pushed, it tends to be more likely that a huge percentage of the society members to be judgmental to those who oppose the norms. Let's take a great example of how society tends to oppose the people who try to fight these norms. Is, let's see, for example, like what they said is hitting kids. Back then, hitting kids is seen as normal and actually should be, it's justifiable. That means that they glorified that hitting kids would make their kids be stronger and better, but overlooks that kids have this would mean that kids should be obligated to become better because their parents hit them. Now, their argument in terms of high hope of society, while that may be true that glorifying these never giving up narrative would make it seem like it puts a high hope of society, but it overlooks that it should also be socially acceptable for people to give up, and there shouldn't be any obligation for society to fulfill that high hope title. And also for the high hope narrative, it's not as exclusive as it seems, because if society let people to be, if society see people giving up as socially acceptable, it also put them in a position of empathy and a thinking that there are other hopes in other fields, and not to push themselves to fulfill the never gives up society. Now, they also brought up competition, in which the opposition argued that never gives up pushes people to become more competitive and to always fight for what they want to win. But this also means that by normalizing people that, oh yes, you should always never give up, you should always continue, you always wanted to win, this also makes society to look down on people who actually fail, which actually oppose to our target, in which we want the act of giving up to be seen as society as morally acceptable. Now, let's go on to my first argument, in which giving up, if glorifying narrative still happens, giving up is seen as something obscure or different or even socially unacceptable. Why? Because glorifying never gives up narrative is essentially seen as a moral ground in the modern society. Never giving up is seen as a must due to the extensiveness and or glorifying narrative of this glorifying narrative. In the other hand, giving up is seen as unmoral or unacceptable. Why is this likely to happen? Like my first speaker said, modern society tends to be judgmental and assumptive because they think that people who gives up seen is seen as lazy or doesn't who doesn't work hard enough. It also means that they also would oppress people who oppose this normalization of never giving up. This results in people who gives up to be hated or even socially isolated. Their narrative is good. Never giving up is never a bad thing, but it should not be glorified. The act of giving up should be acceptable as well. If giving up is seen as different or unacceptable due to the norms or society that opposing the giving up narrative and glorifying never gives up would make it dehumanizing human characterization. Everyone should be accepted if they wanted to give up because they can't be pushed no more, and it also undermines the nature of human. Human rights exist in the society. By oppressing the feeling of wanting to give up because the fear of social judgment, or even them trying to oppose social expectation, it would clearly violate the human's right to express how they feel. And my second argument is the positive and well-being and overall moral modern society if this glorification narrative never exists. In a world, say, their glorifying narrative are not exaggerated, both giving up and never gives up is a choice of each individual human, and never giving up is not seen as the social obligation. Because it's okay to give up sometimes. It's a natural human response. By having no glorify never give up narrative, both giving up and never gives up is seen as socially acceptable. This is likely to happen because society is not fed with the extreme narrative of never giving up. That is likely to look down on those who tries to give up. Instead, society will become more understanding and more empathetic because they are taught that both giving up or never giving up is okay, and it's up to themselves to determine what they want. This would result positively for the overall society because without this glorification, society would become morally understanding and become more fair and have a more mutual, healthier dynamics. In comparison, if glorifying these narratives exist, people who are not capable to continue in this dystopian society will be burdened with social expectation, in which in the end eliminate any character of empathy or understanding in the society itself. That is all from me. Thank you.
Today, I welcome the deputy leader of opposition.
Okay, I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. So first, I have some rebuttals for the government team that they said that some people got depressed and they got this societal pressure from this never give up narrative because they said that in this modern society there is something called social media, and people in social media they characterize it as someone who judge someone who judge someone when they give up. But we think as the opposition, we think that they are talking in the worst case scenario possible because not all people are judgmental, and some people are actually so supporting, and that is what they need in the society. And they also said that this narrative, never give up, is dehumanizing this actor who actually wants to give up. They think that
they act as if like we act as if glorification of this narrative never give up is actually abusing, and they directly push down this mentality. And actually no, I also want to clarify that in the opposition side, that by standing in this narrative never give up, it doesn't mean that we are abusing someone. It doesn't mean that we see hitting children is right. And our people right now, modern society is evolving, and they learn from the generation before. I will explain that in my arguments later. And coming to my argument, that how this narrative plays an important role in smaller circles in society. So in society, there are families, there are relationships, there are groups, there are teams, and as a leader, you will need to have this strong mentality, because a leader cannot support. They have to support their teammates. They cannot lead if they don't have. If they don't stand with the never give up narration. They cannot lead. They cannot support it. How will they support their teammates if they don't say never give up? This narrative is actually really needed, because if they don't have this never give up mentality, they will just give up easily. What if they have like an actual Can? Yes?
How does giving up not seen as dehumanizing? Because from what we believe, if people are socially expected to be always working hard, how is it not dehumanizing?
Okay, so it is not dehumanizing, because dehumanizing and supporting is really different. So dehumanizing is actually you won't see that person as a human anymore, and it won't be dehumanizing. For example, another example, in family, there are not always a happy, lovely honeymoon phase. There is many harsh reality that happens in family, not only in family, but also in groups, teams, etc., in society. And there are fights, there are discussion, there are decision making, etc. And you will need this strong mentality to build this, to look for an answer, for example, and to lead the discussion. And if it's not there, how will they face it? If we don't have this narrative? And meanwhile, in our side, we have benefits that if we stand with the never give up narrative, the teammates will be supported, the leaders will be seen as someone powerful, and see this powerful person as someone powerful who can actually inspire people, who can lead these groups, their family, and they can build our mental also. And it happens in our side, and this is why we have to have the narrative. We need to have the narrative of never give up. Coming to my second argument, how there are actually good impact from the never give up narrative. So humans are evolving. it means that they learn from the generation, from their past mistakes. They learn from the generation before, and it doesn't mean that we are repeating the same mistakes, the same way of teaching. This narrative actually give a good impact to the society. We have actual proof here that, for example, millennials, they have strong mentality even if they learned it the hard way. Yes, the millennials, they experience this. They got hit by when they were a kid, but look at them now. They are strong, and because they know that this feels wrong, they actually learn from this mistake. That doesn't mean that they stop it. They don't support it at all, but they learn from their mistakes that they have experienced. And I want to add something, that people have been experienced wanting to give up. Yes, everybody have. You have. I also have been experiencing wanting to give up, but you can't just be in here without this support. Of course, talent is built. Some people actually need this push to evolve as a person, and it is exclusive in our side because we stand with the narrative never give up. And that is it for my speech. Thank you.
Last is from government, from the government.
Alright, so I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. It's such a shame that the opposition side of the House decides to live in such a dehumanizing world where giving up is not seen as a human nature. Two reasons why they are failing in this debate. Firstly, they claimed that not every person in the modern society is judgmental, but this is merely assumptive, in contrast to our point where it's based on the data of how it is in social media. And even without the data, we are really certain about this worst case scenario likelihood to happen, or at least it will outweigh the best case scenario in the end. Now, secondly, the second point is that they are not dehumanizing by glorifying this narrative. But this is a bit funny because it's a bit ironic that in this matter they are glorifying such a dehumanizing and inhumanizing narrative in which people should never give up. Now, 3 clashes in this debate, which is the first one being the magnitude, urgency, and responsibility. The first one being about magnitude. The opposition side of the House claimed that modern society and characterized that modern society is harsh and tends to move on forward. Just let's weigh this down with what we said or what was our point. So let's characterize glorifying. It means that it will push the never give up narrative to the point that it will be seen as the moral ground in the society, whereas the ones who don't have this narrative in mind will be seen as lazy and based on the characteristics nature of the modern society, which are both assumptive and judgmental. This in the first place is very wrong and not in line with the nature of human rights. Stated the thing called freedom of choice, where an individual can freely choose what they want to do. We can also generalize every human to be as strong as the other, and no, I would like to remind you that we are not looking at the removal of this narrative as a whole. We're instead looking at the change of perspective on how this narrative should be seen like, which is to become just a motivation. And by this, we can clearly see who is winning here. We are bringing in the bad impact. Now, secondly, bad impact of the glorification of this. Now, secondly, about the urgency. The opposition side of the House, they assume that we live in a modern, keep on moving forward society where the glorifying of this narrative is needed. They claimed that the regret of the glorification of this narrative doesn't exist. While our side, we claimed that it exists. Let me explain. Because we live in a modern society in which has a nature of being both assumptive and judgmental once again, the regret of this glorification, the regret of the glorification of this narrative exists because sooner or later this narrative will be normalized and those who gives up will be seen as an obscure individuals in the society who are lazy, not hardworking, etc., etc. Which is a fallacy because we need to understand that it is a natural human response to give up. So no right and justification for it to be glorified at all. Now, and even if they would like to give up, they deserve some form of a motivation instead of a glorification where it's a need for them to just blatantly trust and believe this narrative. And yeah, if this is become normalized, it will also take ages to recover from, which is bad. Also by looking at the brightness of social media nowadays. So if we weigh them down, we can clearly see yet again, who's winning in this clash. Because we have taken many things to consider from, and thus proves how the urgency of the regret of this narrative exists. Last clash about the responsibility. We have stated that we are, as the time of the debate, we are, there is one question that is, that hasn't been talked by the opposition side of the House. They did not bring on about the responsibility and the impact caused by the glorification of this narrative. They keep talking about the positives, and it was all based on assumption. Let me explain. Because by glorifying this narrative, we can't just merely close our eyes on the trade-off that it has. Yes, there might be a positive impact. Yes, there is a potential in that matter, but with that specific, exact positive impact, it also comes with a high likelihood of the price of this narrative becomes a false moral ground in the society once again, proven by the immense and increasing amount of undermining and bullying even that happen towards people who gives up, which they are again seen as lazy, refuse to work hard, and yeah, that as an example in the brightness of social media. So in conclusion, we can clearly see in every clashes, in every point how their point is many of it are ironic and based on assumptions, whilst our points are based on data. We can clearly see who's winning here. So proud to propose this motion. Thank you.
Okay, let me set my timer first. Okay, I'll begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. Okay, first, I would like to give responses to the proposition team. First things first, the proposition team has failed to recharacterizing the meaning of the humanizing, because you see the humanizing is a shallow word to use, because let's define the humanizing first. It equals, you don't see people as human, right?
and it means that you alienating some people because we see the people doesn't qualified to be certain someone, but we in our side this is most likely not going to happen, because even if it's happen, I think at the end of the debate, people, even if people still judge, let's see between us two. Let's see between us two, because in our side, they said we push someone, right? Because sometimes the pushing someone is a necessity, because you see, people tends, even in the end of the day, people tends to be give up, right? So if we never push this thing, so when was these people going to realize that they need to do something, right? Because let's see, if an example, if we make the world that the glorification of you never give up is never exist, people who never gets pushed tends to be live like happily, and they're just chill about it. They wrong and they chill about it. But let's see, sometimes we need a harsh reality. We need a push. That's why we support the glorification of the never give up exists, because this narrative tends mainly for people to try again, to try for the best, and it's not for like letting, if they wrong, for example, if they wrong, let them be. It's not what we wanted, right? Because let's see, in this modern society, everything evolved, everything is walking, right? Everything is evolving. That's why as the generation change, as the technology advance, as my first speaker has mentioned, the human, right? Us as the human is one of the most important aspect in our country, and with this push we need to improve, right? Because if we doesn't glorify the narrative of never give up, when were us having this sign of urgency, sign of urgency to do something, right? Because we need this harsh slap of reality. And this is true. My second clash is about let's see, we never said that the freedom in opposition side is never exists, because let's see, if the freedom of choice is a human rights, right? So it's still happening in our side. So what we wanted is to glorifying people to try again and again and again and again. That's why in our side is still better, because we're pushy. Then no, let's see, comparing to the proposition team. The proposition only mainly talk about how is it morally wrong, how about is only circulating about the humanizing, and about the empathy. But let's see to the urgency of this debate, right? The urgency of this debate is about a modern society, because the opposition, the proposition team Yes.
We need to think that making giving up socially seen as unacceptable is dehumanizing, because by making society not able to express it, if only one of their nature, it will still count as dehumanizing.
Well, you see, dehumanizing. Let's. Should I like repeat myself? The definition of dehumanizing, because you see, the society is moving as the society is more competitive, and it's, I think, if we judging people, it's as long as they're not alienating to certain society, as they're not to be cornered, as they not to be bullied to be for their society, I think that's not qualified as dehumanizing itself. Because let's see, even if this worst scenario, that's the worst scenario that opposition could mention. The worst scenario is like the bullying culture still exists in our side, in this whole thing. But let's see, like my first speaker has mentioned, we want to push someone, right? And my first and second speaker has mentioned that if we push someone, that means we want them to be mentally sustainable, mentally ready for this harsh world. Like I said, we need a harsh reality sometimes, right? So even if this bullying still happen, they have this gut. They have this strong mentality because we push themselves up before. That's why this alienating things never gonna exist in our side, because in our side we are pushing someone for the better. I think that's why panels, I think the opposition team today is meant to be the winner. That's all. I lay my case. Thank you.
Conclude opposition case from
I will start my reply in 3, 2, 1. Judges, in this debate, we should see which one will be most better for the actor that is living in this modern society right now. I will bring out a few different characteristics that the opposition and the government have given, and prove why the opposition should be given the winning point in this. Now, the characterization of opposition government is sort of similar, and we're living in a harsh living of reality where people is and needs to be moving, and also in their side the society is judging. And in their side they said that our way of glorification never give up. It seems to be there are lack of listening to our points, where we said that we glorifying never gave up doesn't mean we are abusing them to a certain to be depressive state. While in their side, they keep bringing out the worst case scenario of how this never give up narrative will bring them into a depressive state because they are being judged by the society. Now let's see how much is let's see the importance of both sides. Is it okay to let the society actually fail? Or is it okay to give them a little push to move on? The main difference between the government and the opposition is that government will be letting them, the society will be letting them okay to give up. While in our side, we will give them a push to try to never give up again, and glorification is as an high hope in the society. While in their side, that they would it was okay for them to actually fail. is which one is more important? Let it be okay for them to actually fail, or let it be important to have a push for someone. Now we're talking in this, like they said also, their characterization of modern society is quite harsh. So which one is more better for the actor in this motion when the modern world is harsh? Is it better to push them, or to just is it okay for them? In this side, opposition would win this motion, because in our side we have this check and balance to actually push them to work for it in this modern society, while in their side they will we actually give the importance and urgency to try again, while in their side they don't give any urgency for the individuals to try again. Where we have a certain balance to society to actually have a certain check of how urgency you have to work out in a harsh reality, while they don't have a certain balance or a push or like a certain importance or urgency for them to work hard. Now, society of gentlemen, people of giving up, like they said, people are judging them because they're judging them and saying etc. and etc. in their society. That's why we have a saying, never give up. We see opposition, we see glorification as a support that the society needs, while the government discourse all of the importance of how never give up is actually important in the living harsh of society, will how it affects individual to be a strong mental, and well, in their side they would actually normalize them giving up, which creates where we provide a more strong standing for the actors to actually have this narrative, while they don't have a certain strong standings where we're living in this modern world. That's why with that sense of importance, which our side will win the motion. Thank you.
For those of the case, welcome the government replies.
I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Okay, judges, as the government reply, we're once again regretting the glorification of the never give up narrative in modern society. But first, I can see how both of the team wants the best for the people in society. But what we want to see is what side will give the best for the people, and I will explain the lack point of the government team that explain why the government team. The lack point of the opposition team that the government team deserves to win. Now, first, I will clarify that we are regretting the glorification. We never regretting the existence of the narrative, and we already said in our goals that we just do not want this glorification to continue. We want this narrative to still exist, but as a motivation. And that's why we are giving you an example on how this narrative can still work as a motivation and why it will be a good thing for the actors. We also tell you the reasoning on why this glorification is bad for the actors, but the opposition team only give us reasons why this narration should exist, why this narration existence will give benefits, will have benefits. We never heard anything from them that why the glorification itself that we are debating here is still okay and even good in this modern society, while we already explained why this glorification won't give a good benefit. Yes, we agree that this narrative might represent a high hopes on society, but the glorification is not giving a good benefit, as we already said. Now, there is a misunderstanding from the opposition team. The opposition teams thinks our arguments are contradicting, but in fact, we are giving you an alternative word where this narrative is still exists but not glorified. And we already explained why without it being glorified, people will not be judgmental about giving up. And while in the opposition team, they cannot give any guarantee with the word with this glorification that people won't be bullied because not following this narrative or society's hope, or doesn't give any guarantee that with this glorification the worst case will not happen, while we already open our eyes on the current situation that people is impacted by this glorification. And then I think the opposition team is underviewing how much this glorification can impacting both the actors and society itself. They don't see any possibility on how judgmental society can become because of a glorification of a narrative. They are not understanding how judgmental society can become just because this narrative. And then judges, now if we comparing both the world where this glorification is exists, where the narrative is glorified and where the narrative is not glorified but only as a motivation, of course we can see which word is the best, which word is giving the best for the people that we are fighting for. Based on our argument, which we can explain once again why glorifying is bad, this is the alternative word in our side is better and give the best for the actors. That's why judges, I think the government team deserves to win this debate. Thank you.
Thank you for interesting debate. Give me time for deliberation, give me statements, and waiting outside in a while. Then give me time to ya, bisa segera.
Peluncuran.
Yeah.